I was woken up at 2 a.m. to hear my 9-year-old daughter yelling, "Please don't burn me." I rushed into her bedroom and saw my autistic daughter, screaming at the top of her lungs at her older brother Lucas. He's 14 and a lot stronger than her. He was on top of her holding a burning clothes iron. I yelled, "Get the hell off of her." He calmly ugly said, "Chill out. It's not a big deal. I'm just turning her into a superhero." I got closer to him and said, "If you don't put that iron down, I will kill you myself." He ignored me and said she's clean, claiming to be autistic, and says that she can't feel certain sensations. I'm gonna prove that she's a liar. If she's not, she'll be a superhero. So it's a win-win. My daughter was trembling with terror and crying her eyes out. I'm gonna tell you this one more time. Get that iron away from her face right now. Lucas was adopted, and my husband and I had no idea where he really came from, or knew very much about his past. He arrogantly said, "You won't do anything you never do because you're all talk." My daughter could barely speak and said, "Please help me, mommy. He's scaring me." Lucas had no reaction to her emotion at all. I was horrified at how psychotic he seemed. He said, "I'm dying to see if my theory holds up." My husband was out of town, which is why Lucas felt like he could get away with a lot more. He thought I was weak. I was afraid to just grab his arms, in case he would actually burn her. So I slowly inched towards him, hoping to have a better angle of attack without him being ready for it. "If you hurt her, I swear," he cut me off. "Oh, would you just relax? I haven't even done anything yet. And you're overreacting. Like you're in the middle of some Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I'm here to improve your lives and reveal to you the greater truths of the universe. First golden truth is there's no such thing as autism. It's a hoax. I'll prove it to you. Watch." That's when he did it. He burnt the side of her cheek with a scorching hot iron. She screamed in agony and I saw red. I attacked Lucas and shoved him to the ground. He dropped the burning iron on the floor. I grabbed my daughter and held her as she wet. I saw the skin on her cheek was already turning red. I grabbed an ice pack and quickly pressed it onto her cheek. I told Lucas, "I will deal with you when I get back. You little piece of." I rushed her to the hospital, and the doctor treated her for second-degree burns. I called my husband and told him to come home immediately. He met me back home and said it's time to teach this kid a hard lesson. We walked into his bedroom, and he was sitting up in his bed playing video games. "Look who's here to teach me a lesson. And you brought big, bad dad with you." I'm shaking in my boots. "Both of you are such talkers." I didn't say a word, but I knew Lucas's worst fear was being sent back into the orphanage. The very thought of that terrified the hell out of him. So my husband and I didn't say a word. We packed his bags, grabbed him, and shoved him into the back of our car. When he realized we were heading back to the orphanage, the silence in the car was heavier than the darkness outside. It wasn't the silence of peace. It was the suffocating pressure of a storm about to break. My husband, David, drove with white-knuckled intensity, his eyes fixed on the highway's dividing lines as if they were the only things tethering us to sanity. In the back seat, Lucas had stopped laughing. When we had first dragged him out of the house, kicking and screaming obscenities, he had treated it like a game. "Oh, big scare tactic, Mom. Where are we going?" "Disney World." But as we passed the city limits and the streetlights grew sparse, the geography of his arrogance began to crumble. He knew this route. It was the route we had taken 2 years ago, in reverse, on the day we signed the papers that made him ours. "You're bluffing," Lucas said. His voice cracked, a fissure in the porcelain mask of his psychopathy. "You can't just take me back. I have rights. I'm not a receipt you can return." I didn't turn around. I kept my eyes on the glove compartment, my hand trembling slightly. I could still smell the singed hair and ozone scent of the hot iron. I could still hear the specific pitch of my daughter Lily's scream, a sound that had severed the last thread of maternal instinct I held for the boy in the back. "David," Lucas said, shifting tactics. He leaned forward, the seatbelt straining. "Dave, come on. She's fine. It was a second-degree burn. The doctor said it would heal. Scars build character. I was teaching her to tough it out." "Don't speak to him," David said. His voice was a low growl, unrecognizable. "Don't speak to her. Do not make a sound. This is illegal," Lucas shouted, slamming his fist against the window. "You signed a contract. You promised to love me forever, remember? The judge asked you. You said yes." That was the knife twist. He knew exactly where to aim. He knew how to weaponize our own morality against us. He was right. We had promised. We had stood in a courtroom and sworn to protect him. But tonight, the definition of protection had shifted. To protect Lily, we had to break our word to him. We pulled up to the imposing brick structure of the St. Jude's State Intake Center. It wasn't the exact orphanage he came from. That one had closed due to funding cuts. But this was the central processing unit for wards of the state. It was a place of fluorescent lights, linoleum floors, and broken dreams. David stopped the car. He didn't kill the engine. "Get out," David said. Lucas sat frozen. For the first time, I saw the 14-year-old boy beneath the monster. His lip quivered. "Mom." I turned then. I looked him in the eyes. I was searching for a shred of remorse, a single flicker of humanity that would make me stop David, turn the car around, and try therapy again. I looked for the son I thought I had adopted, but all I saw was calculation. He wasn't sad he had hurt Lily. He was angry he had lost his leverage. "Get out, Lucas," I whispered. "You aren't safe. You aren't safe to be around her. You aren't safe to be around us. I'll kill you, he hissed, the mask dropping completely. If you leave me here, I will find a way back, and I will burn the whole house down with you inside it. David got out, opened the back door, and physically hauled Lucas out. There was no hug. No bouvier. We handed his bag to the night intake officer, a weary woman who looked like she had seen this scene 1,000 times. We signed the emergency surrender papers, refusal to assume custody, due to imminent danger to another minor. As we walked back to the car, I heard Lucas screaming behind the glass doors. He wasn't crying for his mother. He was screaming, "You weak, pathetic cowards. You'll pay for this." We drove home in silence. But as we pulled into the driveway, the house looked different. It wasn't a home anymore. It was a fortress we had just breached, and now, we had to rebuild the walls. The first 6 months were a blur of antiseptic cream and therapy sessions. Lily's cheek healed, but the skin remained puckered and pink, a permanent map of the night her brother tried to fix her. She stopped speaking for 3 months. She would flinch if the toaster popped or if the radiator hissed. We didn't talk about Lucas. He became a ghost in the house. We boxed up his room, painted the walls a neutral gray, and turned it into a guest room that no guest ever used. However, the state didn't let us forget. There were inquiries. Social workers visited, looking down their noses at us, the parents who failed, a troubled child. We were blacklisted from fostering ever again. They told us Lucas had been moved to a juvenile secure facility after assaulting a staff member. He claims you abused him, the caseworker told us one afternoon, sipping tea in my kitchen. He says the burn on Lily was an accident, and you blamed him to cover up your husband's temper. I felt the blood drain from my face. He is a liar. He is a predator. He's very charismatic, the caseworker noted, closing her file. He has the staff at the center convinced he's a victim of 2 narcissists who threw him away when he became inconvenient. That was Lucas's superpower. It wasn't autism that made someone special. It was his ability to wear whatever skin the world wanted to see. 5 years passed. Lily turned 14. She was thriving in her own way. She had developed a passion for botany. She understood plants. They didn't lie. They didn't hurt you. If you gave them water and light, they grew. She spent her afternoons in the greenhouse David built her, cataloging ferns and orchids. We thought we were safe. We thought the system had swallowed Lucas whole. Then the letter arrived. It came in a thick, cream-colored envelope. No return address. Just my name, handwritten in an elegant, calligraphy-like script. Inside was a single photograph and a newspaper clipping. The clipping was an obituary. Local philanthropist and foster father, Arthur P. Miller, passes away at 62 in tragic house fire. The photograph was of a young man, handsome, sharp-jawed, wearing a black suit, standing at the edge of the funeral procession. He was looking directly at the camera lens, a slight, knowing smile playing on his lips. It was Lucas. He was 19 now. He was out. And he was watching. He did it, David said, pacing the living room floor. I know he did it. The fire. The man dying. It's him. We can't prove that, I said, though my stomach was churning acid. We don't even know where he is. He sent this to us, Elena. He wants us to know. David slammed his hand on the table. He's coming for us. We went to the police, but they were useless. A picture in an envelope isn't a threat. It's mail. Lucas had no restraining order against him anymore. He was an adult, a free man. 2 days later, I saw him. I was picking Lily up from her special education program. I was waiting in the car line when I saw a figure leaning against a lamppost across the street. He wore a camel hair coat and designer sunglasses. He looked like a model or a young CEO. He lowered the glasses. His eyes hadn't changed. They were still 2 black voids, devoid of light. He raised a hand, mimicked the shape of a gun, and pulled the trigger. Then he smiled and walked away. The terror wasn't immediate. It was a slow, creeping frost. He didn't attack us. He toyed with us. Dead birds started appearing on our doorstep. Not messy, bloody kills, but perfectly preserved dead birds, laid out in a row. Then the phone calls. Heavy breathing. The sound of a closed iron hissing steam. David bought a gun. He took shooting lessons. He installed a security system that cost more than our car. We lived like prisoners. Lily felt it too. The bad man is back, she said one evening, looking out the window at the darkness. No, unei. Primelit. No one is here. I can hear him, she said, tapping her ear. He walks different. Heavy on the left. Like a wolf. I didn't know what she meant, but I hugged her tight. The escalation came on a Tuesday. I came home from work to find the front door unlocked. The alarm hadn't gone off. I drew the small taser I kept in my purse and stepped inside. David? Lily? Silence. I walked into the living room. On the coffee table sat a hot iron. It was plugged in. The red light was glowing. Next to it was a note. The theory needs a second test. Tonight. I grabbed Lily from school, and we drove to David's office. We weren't going back to the house. We checked into a motel 2 towns over, paying cash. He hacked the alarm, David said, checking the logs on his phone. He knows the codes. How does he know the codes? He's been watching us, I said. He probably watched you type it in from the window. We were hunting a ghost who knew our habits better than we did. That night, in the motel room, David made a decision. We can't run forever. He's going to kill us, Elena. He's going to wait until we slip up, and he's going to finish what he started 5 years ago. So what do? We lure him out, David said. He wants a show. He wants to prove he's smarter than us. We give him the opportunity. We devised a plan. It was reckless, dangerous, and terrifying. We would go back to the house. We would disable the new security cameras, visibly so he could see. We would make it look like we were tired, defeated, dropping our guard. We sent Lily to stay with my sister in Vermont. She screamed when we dropped her off. Don't go back. He's heavy on the left. He has the fire. We have to, baby, I told her. We have to stop the bad man. We returned to the house on a Friday night. The air was thick with humidity. We turned off the lights. We sat in the living room, David with his pistol, me with a baseball bat. We waited. Midnight passed. Then 1 a.m. At 2 a.m., the exact time he had attacked Lily years ago, the power cut. The house plunged into absolute darkness. He cut the line, David whispered. We heard the glass of the back door shatter. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. He wasn't sneaking, he was parading. David stood by the hallway entrance, leveling the gun. I hid behind the kitchen island. Mom? Dad? Lucas's voice floated through the darkness. It was deep now, smooth as velvet. I brought gifts. I'm here to improve your lives again. Stop right there, Lucas. David shouted. I have a gun. I will shoot. A laugh echoed from the dining room. You won't shoot, Dave. You're a rule follower. You filled out the paperwork to return me. You believe in the system. You don't have the guts to be the executioner. He was moving. I could hear the creak of the floorboards. Lily was right, heavy on the left. He had a limp? No, he was carrying something heavy on his left side. I'm not the same man, Lucas, David warned. No, you're older. Slower. A flare hissed in the dark. A blinding red light illuminated the room. Lucas stood there, holding a road flare in one hand and a canister of gasoline in the other. The heavy thing on his left. He looked demonic in the red glow. He had grown tall, broad-shouldered. The scar of a life in the system was written in the set of his jaw, the deadness of his eyes. The truth of the universe, Lucas said, pouring gasoline onto the hardwood floor. Entropy. Chaos. Everything burns eventually. Lucas, stop. I screamed, stepping out. He looked at me. There she is. The mother of the year. David fired. The shot was deafening in the enclosed space. But David hesitated. He aimed for the leg, not the chest. He was a father, not a killer. The bullet grazed Lucas's thigh. He didn't even flinch. He just dropped the flare. The fumes ignited with a whoosh. A wall of fire separated us from him. And him from the front door. Win-win. Lucas roared over the roar of the flames. I burned the trauma away. I cleansed the house. He turned to run out the back, but he stumbled. The leg wound, or perhaps the weight of his own madness, caught up to him. He fell into the pool of burning gasoline. For a second there was silence. Then the screaming started. It wasn't the scream of a child this time. It was the scream of a man realizing he was not the master of the fire, but its fuel. David grabbed me. We have to go. Now. We have to help him. I cried, the instinct override kicking in. He chose this. Move. David dragged me out the front door just as the living room windows blew out. We tumbled onto the front lawn, coughing, covered in soot. We watched the house burn. It was a magnificent, terrifying pyre. The sirens wailed in the distance. They found his body near the back door. The coroner said it was smoke inhalation that killed him before the fire consumed him. A mercy he didn't deserve. The police investigation was brief. Intruder, arson, self-defense. The history was there. The threats were documented. We were victims of a deranged young man we had once tried to save. We moved. We couldn't stay in that town. We bought a farmhouse in the countryside, miles away from neighbors, miles away from memories. Lily came back to live with us. She was 16 now. The scars on her face had faded to white lines, but they would never disappear. One afternoon, a year after the fire, I was sitting on the porch, watching Lily tend to her garden. She was humming a song, touching the leaves of a tomato plant. Mom, she called out. Yes, sweetie. The bad man isn't a superhero, she said without looking up. No, I said, my throat tight. He wasn't. But I am, she said. I froze. What do you mean? She turned to me. Her eyes, usually darting away, held mine with a terrifying intensity. I knew he was coming that night, she said. I knew he cut the wires. I heard him before you did. I know you told us. No, she said. Before that. When I was little. I knew he was bad. I knew he wanted to burn me. That night. The first night. She paused, brushing dirt from her hands. I let him catch me, she said. The world stopped spinning. What? I let him catch me, she repeated. If he didn't hurt me, you would never send him away. You wanted to keep him. You wanted to fix him. But he couldn't be fixed. He was going to kill you, Mommy. He told me he was going to kill you in your sleep. My breath hitched. Lily. So I let him catch me. I knew if he burned me, you would have to choose. And you chose me. She smiled. It wasn't a sinister smile. It was a smile of pure, pragmatic survival. A smile of absolute logic. I sacrificed my cheek to save us, she said. That's what superheroes do. They take the pain so others don't have to. She turned back to her plants, humming her song again. I sat there on the porch, the summer breeze chilling my skin. I looked at my daughter, my autistic, brilliant, terrifying daughter. I realized then that I had underestimated both of my children. One was a monster who thought he was a god. The other was a savior who understood the price of survival better than I ever could. I looked at the scar on her face. It didn't look like a tragedy anymore. It looked like a medal of honor. Yes, I whispered, though she couldn't hear me. You are a superhero. And for the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of the dark. Because I knew, if anything ever came for us again, Lily would see it coming.